What if I told you there's a group of plants sitting quietly in gardens around the world that pack more protein per gram than a chicken breast? And once you plant them, they just keep feeding you year after year without you having to do much of anything. Sounds unbelievable, right? But today I'm going to show you 10 plants with more protein than meat that you can grow once and eat forever. Stick around because number 3 is one that most home gardeners don't even know exists, and it might just change the way you think about your backyard forever. Welcome back. If you're new, this channel is all about rediscovering the plants the modern world forgot about, the ones that sustained entire civilizations, healed communities, and fed families through the hardest of times. We dig up the knowledge that got buried and bring it back to life. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a single plant secret. All right, let's count down these 10 incredible plants starting from number 10 and working our way to the one that genuinely shocked me when I first found out about it. Top 10 Moringa. Coming in at number 10, we have Moringa, the tree that practically begs you to eat it. If you spend any time in tropical gardening circles, you've probably heard the buzz around Moringa. People call it a superfood, a miracle tree, and honestly, the hype is not wrong. The leaves are tender, slightly earthy, and they dry into a powder you can toss into smoothies, soups, or even baked goods. Farmers across South Asia and Africa have been growing it for centuries, and now the rest of the world is finally catching up. But here's the thing most people don't realize. Moringa leaves contain around 9 g of protein per 100 gram when fresh, and closer to 27 gram when dried. That means dried moringa powder actually rivals chicken in protein density. According to the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, moringa is one of the most nutrient-dense plants ever studied, containing all 9 essential amino acids, making it a complete protein source. That's extremely rare in the plant world. To grow it, plant moringa in full sun with well-draining, slightly sandy soil. It hates wet feet. Space trees about 3 meters apart, though many people grow them close together and keep them pruned short for easier harvesting. Water deeply but infrequently, especially once established. You can begin harvesting leaves in as little as 8 months from seed, and once it's going, you can trim branches regularly, and the tree just keeps pushing out new growth. Bonus tip: moringa seeds can also be used to purify water. Drop a crushed seed into a glass of murky water, and it will cause the sediment to clump and sink. Ancient communities used this trick long before modern filtration systems existed. So, would you grow a moringa tree even if you had a small yard and had to keep it pruned like a shrub? Drop your answer in the comments. I genuinely want to know. And if moringa surprised you, just wait until you hear what number 9 has been hiding all along. Top 9 Lentils. At number 9 is lentils. Yes, the humble lentil, and it deserves way more respect than it gets. Most people think of lentils as that boring thing in the back of the pantry, the backup plan when you forget to go grocery shopping. But walk into any traditional kitchen in India, Ethiopia, or the Middle East, and lentils are the star of the show. Rich, warming, deeply satisfying soups and stews that have fed billions of people across thousands of years. But here's the secret the grocery store doesn't tell you. Lentils contain roughly 26 g of protein per 100 grain dried, more than beef by weight. Harvard School of Public Health lists lentils among the top plant protein sources available to humans, and a 2021 study published in the journal Nutrients found that regular lentil consumption significantly improved muscle retention in aging adults. These tiny seeds are doing serious nutritional heavy lifting. Grow lentils in cool weather. They prefer temperatures between 18 and 24 degrees C and do best in light, well-drained, loamy soil. Sow seeds directly into the ground about 2.5 centimeters deep and 15 centimeters apart. They need very little water once established and actually fix nitrogen into your soil, meaning they make the earth richer just by growing in it. Harvest when the lower pods start to turn brown and rattle when you shake them. Bonus tip: plant lentils where you plan to grow heavy feeders like corn or squash next season. The nitrogen they leave behind will give your next crop a massive head start. Here's a quick question for you. Have you ever actually grown lentils yourself, or have you only ever bought them from a store? Drop it in the comments and trust me, number 8 is going to make you look at your garden bed completely differently. Top 8, asparagus. Next on our list at number 8 is asparagus, the plant that keeps giving for 20 years. There's something almost magical about asparagus, those elegant green spears pushing up through the soil in early spring before almost anything else dares to wake up. It feels like the garden is whispering that the cold season is finally over. Asparagus is prized in restaurants, beloved by chefs, and often commands premium prices at farmers markets. But here's what most people don't know. Asparagus contains about 2.2 grams of protein per 100 grams, which sounds modest until you realize that one asparagus crown, planted just once, will produce edible spears every single spring for up to 20 years with almost no intervention. It also contains aspartic acid and glutathione, compounds linked to cellular repair and detoxification. The ancient Egyptians grew it over 2,000 years ago, and some Roman emperors reportedly paid enormous sums for it in the off-season. Plant asparagus crowns in early spring in deep, rich, well-draining soil with a pH between 6.5 and 7. Dig trenches about 30 centimeters deep, place crowns 45 centimeters apart, and fill in gradually as they grow. Don't harvest the first 2 years. I know that's hard, but letting the ferns develop builds the root system that will feed you for decades. After year 2, harvest spears when they're about 18 to 20 centimeters tall by snapping or cutting them at the base. Bonus tip, after the season ends, let the ferns grow tall and feathery. They're not just beautiful, they're feeding energy back into the roots, so next year's harvest is even better. So would you be willing to wait 2 years for a harvest that lasts 20? I'd love to hear your patience level. Drop it below. And number 7, it's one that most Western gardeners completely overlook, but it's been a protein staple in Asia for centuries. Top 7, edamame. At number 7 is edamame, young soybeans, and they are absolutely loaded. Picture a warm summer evening, a bowl of bright green pods dusted with sea salt, something cold to drink. That's the edamame experience. Simple, satisfying, and deeply snackable. They have become trendy in restaurants everywhere, but they've been a staple crop in East Asia for over 2,000 years. But here's the twist. Edamame contains around 11 grams of protein per 100 grams fresh, making it one of the highest protein vegetables you can eat raw or lightly steamed. And unlike many plant proteins, edamame is a complete protein, containing all essential amino acids in proportions similar to meat. A 2020 report from the World Health Organization cited soy protein as nutritionally equivalent to animal protein. High praise from the world's top health body. Grow edamame in full sun with rich, well-composted soil. Sow seeds directly after the last frost, about 4 centimeters deep and 15 centimeters apart. They're relatively drought-tolerant once established, but appreciate consistent moisture during pod fill. Harvest when pods are plump, bright green, and the beans push visibly against the shell, usually around 75 to 90 days after planting. Bonus tip, steam the whole pods and eat directly from the shell. The pod itself naturally seasons the bean inside, which is why restaurants serve them whole rather than shelled. Would you grow edamame as a snack crop in your garden, or just buy it frozen? Let me know and hold on because we're about halfway through this list, and number 6 is where things get really interesting. Hey, if you're still with me, thank you. This is exactly the kind of content that makes this community so special. If you're finding this helpful, go ahead and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this video reach more gardeners who need this information. And drop a comment telling me which of these plants have you actually grown before. I'm always curious to see what's already growing out there. All right, let's keep going because the next few plants are even better. Top 6, quinoa. At number 6 is quinoa, the grain that's technically not a grain, and it's a protein powerhouse. Quinoa has had quite a glow up over the past decade. It went from an obscure Indian crop to a health food store staple almost overnight, and for good reason. It's light, versatile, and has this satisfying, slightly nutty flavor that works in salads, bowls, porridges, and even baked goods. But here's what the trendy packaging doesn't always tell you. Quinoa contains about 14 grams of protein per 100 grams dried and is one of only a handful of plant foods that provide complete protein with all 9 essential amino acids. NASA actually studied quinoa as a potential crop for long-duration space travel because of its extraordinary nutritional self-sufficiency. The Incas called it the mother of all grains, and it sustained their civilization at altitudes where almost nothing else would grow. Quinoa thrives in full sun and actually prefers poor, well-drained soil. Too much fertilizer makes it bolt before it's ready. Sow seeds thinly about 1 centimeter deep, then thin seedlings to about 30 centimeters apart. It's surprisingly cold-tolerant and drought-hardy once established. Harvest when the seed heads are dry and the seeds brush off easily, usually around 90 to 120 days. Rinse seeds thoroughly before eating to remove the natural bitter coating called saponin. Bonus tip: the young leaves of quinoa plants are also edible. Treat them like spinach early in the season while you wait for the seeds to mature. So, have you ever tried growing quinoa, or did you assume it was too exotic for a home garden? Drop your answer below. And number 5 is something that's been quietly growing on fences and trellises for thousands of years, and most people just walk right past it. Top 5 winged beans. Coming in at number 5, we have winged beans, the plant that gives you protein from every single part. If you've never heard of winged beans, you are not alone, and that's exactly why this channel exists. In Southeast Asia, particularly in Papua New Guinea and the Philippines, winged beans have been called a supermarket on a stalk because literally every part of the plant is edible. The pods, the leaves, the flowers, and the roots, all of it can be eaten. But here's the remarkable part. Winged bean seeds contain between 29 and 39 g of protein per 100 grain dried, rivaling soybeans and easily outpacing most meats. A landmark report by the National Academy of Sciences in the United States described winged beans as one of the most nutritionally promising crops on the planet. Despite that report being published in 1975, Western agriculture largely ignored it. 50 years later, most people in Europe and North America have never even seen one. Grow winged beans in hot, humid conditions. They love tropical and subtropical climates and need full sun and a trellis or fence to climb. Plant seeds about 3 centimeters deep after the last frost and water regularly. The vines grow aggressively once established. Begin harvesting young pods when they're still tender, around 60 to 90 days, and allow some to mature fully on the vine for seed saving. Bonus tip: the tuberous roots of winged beans taste somewhat like a sweet, nutty potato. Boil or roast them just like you would any root vegetable for a surprising bonus harvest. Would you grow winged beans if you knew you could eat the leaves, flowers, pods, and roots? That's a 4-in-1 plant. Pretty hard to say no. And number 4 has a story that goes back to ancient warriors. Stay with me. Top 4, hemp. At number 4 is hemp. Yes, the seed, and it's one of the most complete foods nature has ever produced. Hemp seeds have this warm, slightly nutty flavor that works beautifully scattered over salads, blended into smoothies, or pressed into oil. They're even making a quiet comeback in health food circles, but their history stretches back over 10,000 years. Ancient Chinese texts describe hemp as one of the 5 sacred grains. But here's what most people still don't know. Hemp seeds contain about 31 g of protein per 100 gram, and they deliver an ideal ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 fatty acids that researchers at the University of Manitoba described as nearly perfect for human health. Ancient Scythian warriors reportedly ate hemp seeds to sustain themselves on long military campaigns, and Viking burial sites across Scandinavia have been found with hemp seeds stored alongside weapons and tools. Hemp is surprisingly easy to grow in most temperate climates. It needs full sun, deep, well-draining soil, and very little care once established. Plant seeds directly in spring after the last frost, about 1 centimeter deep, and space generously for seed production. It grows fast, often reaching 2 members in a single season. Harvest seed heads when they're fully ripe and dry, then thresh to separate the seeds. Bonus tip: hemp's deep taproot breaks up compacted soil, making it an excellent rotational crop that improves the ground it grows in. Your next crop will thank you. So, would you grow hemp seeds as a food crop even if it raised a few eyebrows in the neighborhood? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And number 3, this is the one I promised you at the very beginning, the one most gardeners have never even heard of. Top 3 tepary beans. At number 3 is tepary beans, the ancient desert protein that survived where nothing else could. Imagine a bean so tough it can produce a full harvest with less water than almost any other crop on Earth. That's the tepary bean, a small, dense, intensely flavored legume that was cultivated by the indigenous peoples of the Sonoran Desert in what is now Arizona and Mexico for at least 5,000 years. It comes in white, brown, speckled, and black varieties, and each one has a rich, earthy flavor that puts ordinary beans to shame. But here's the truth that makes this plant extraordinary. Tepary beans contain up to 23 grams of protein per 100 grain dried, and they have a lower glycemic index than most other legumes, making them valuable for blood sugar management. A team of researchers at the University of Arizona studied tepary beans extensively and found that their unique protein structure may have protective effects against type 2 diabetes. And yet, outside of indigenous and heritage seed communities, almost nobody grows them. Plant tepary beans in full sun and very well drained, even poor soil. They evolved in desert conditions and actually suffer in overly rich or waterlogged soil. Sow seeds directly in warm weather, about 3 centimeters deep and 10 centimeters apart. Do not overwater. These beans want dry feet. They mature fast, often in just 60 to 80 days. Harvest when pods are dry and papery on the vine. Bonus tip: save seeds from your best performing plants every season. Tepary beans adapt remarkably quickly to local conditions, so each generation grows stronger and more suited to your specific garden. Now I have to ask, had you ever heard of tepary beans before right now? Drop a comment if this is your first time hearing about them. And the top 2, they are going to stick with you. Number 2 has been called the most productive protein plant per square meter in the world. Top 2, tree collards. Coming in at number 2 is tree collards, the perennial leafy green that never stops producing. Tree collards look like something from another era. Tall, sprawling, purple-tinged leafy plants that can grow for decades, sometimes reaching the height of a small tree. In parts of California, you can find tree collard plants that are over 40 years old, still producing leaves, still being harvested, still feeding families. But here's what makes them genuinely remarkable. Tree collards contain about 4 grams of protein per 100 grams of leaves. Because they are perennial and produce year-round in mild climates, the cumulative protein yield per plant over a decade absolutely dwarfs most annual crops. They were brought to California by Portuguese settlers who carried them from the Azores, where farmers had grown them for generations. In the 1970s, ecological gardener Alan Chadwick helped revive them in the United States, and seed-saving communities have kept them alive ever since. Tree collards prefer full sun to partial shade and rich, moist, well-draining soil. Plant rooted cuttings rather than seeds. They rarely set viable seed, so they are best grown from stem cuttings rooted in water or moist soil. Give each plant about a meter of space and water deeply during dry periods. Harvest outer leaves regularly to encourage new growth from the center. Bonus tip: tree collards are one of the few vegetables that actually improve in flavor after a light frost. The cold converts some of the starches to sugar. Would you grow a plant that could feed your family for the next 40 years from a single cutting? I think I already know the answer. And number one is the plant that made me start this journey in the first place. Top 1, chaya, and at number 1 is chaya, the Mayan spinach that contains more protein than almost any leaf on earth. Imagine a large leafy shrub that grows like a weed in warm climates, asks almost nothing of you, and produces leaves so packed with nutrition. Ancient Mayan civilization used it as a primary food source for centuries. That's chaya, also called tree spinach, and it is, without question, one of the most underappreciated food plants in the world. Here's the truth that will genuinely stop you in your tracks. Chaya leaves contain around 5 to 7 grams of protein per 100 grams fresh, but more importantly, they are extraordinarily dense in iron, calcium, and vitamin C, often surpassing spinach, kale, and even broccoli. A study published in the journal Plant Foods for Human Nutrition found that cooked chaya compared favorably to conventional vegetables across nearly every measured nutrient. The reason you've never heard of it, it was largely confined to Mesoamerica and the Caribbean until recent decades. Industrial agriculture had no interest in a plant that couldn't be patented. One important note, chaya leaves must be cooked before eating, as raw leaves contain compounds that break down harmlessly with heat. Always boil or saute them for at least 5 minutes. Grow chaya in full sun with well-draining fertile soil. It propagates easily from stem cuttings. Within months, you'll have a productive shrub. Harvest outer leaves regularly, and the plant will reward you with constant new growth. Bonus tip, chaya grows so vigorously in warm climates that a single cutting shared among neighbors can supply a whole community. It's the definition of a gift plant. So now I need to ask, had you ever heard of chaya before today? If not, you are officially part of an elite group of gardeners who know something most people don't. Drop a comment and tell me, are you going to track down a cutting? Let's do a quick recap of our 10 plants with more protein than meat you can grow once and eat forever. Moringa, the miracle tree that dries into powder. Lentils, the ancient legume that feeds the soil too. Asparagus, 20 years of harvest from one planting. Edamame, complete protein you can snack on fresh. Quinoa, the space-worthy grain with a complete amino acid profile. Winged beans, the 4-in-1 protein plant. Hemp seeds, the ancient warrior fuel with perfect fatty acids. Tepary beans, the desert survivor with blood sugar benefits. Tree collards, the 40-year perennial leaf protein. Chaya, the forgotten Mayan superfood hiding in plain sight. Together, these 10 plants represent something extraordinary. The idea that food security doesn't have to mean dependence on expensive meat or industrial systems. With the right plants, your backyard can become a true source of lasting nourishment. Every one of these plants was kept alive by someone who cared enough to save a seed, share a cutting, or pass down knowledge to the next generation. That act of preservation is one of the most generous things a human being can do. If this video helped you discover even one new plant to grow, it was worth every minute. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Every new subscriber helps this knowledge reach more people who need it. And if you know someone who's trying to grow more of their own food, share this video with them. It might be exactly the push they need. Now, I want to hear from you. Which plant on this list surprised you the most? Drop it in the comments below. Thanks for watching. The world has more abundance in it than we sometimes remember, and a lot of it is right there waiting in the soil. I'll see you in the next video. If these stories of ancient nutrition and resilient growth have changed the way you look at the plants in your own backyard, please subscribe and like the channel. We are dedicated to uncovering the history and the survival secrets that the modern world has tried to bury. Let's plant the future together. The next hidden treasure of the earth will be revealed very soon.